My Lords, Rachel Reeves said the government's defining mission is to deliver economic growth, and that can only come through economic stability and a commitment to sound policy. So never again can a government play fast and loose with the public finances. This new law is part of our plan to fix the foundation of our economy so we can rebuild Britain. So the decision by Labour gives the OBR the most power it has ever had since the Chancellor, at the time George Osborne, set it up in 2010. And of course, we know, my Lords, that forecasts can be wrong. Noble Lord Macpherson said they're invariably wrong. But he mentioned an interesting point. What about opposition forecasts? Could the Noble Lord the Minister respond to that? And also, Lord Macpherson said very clearly, forecasts are based on assumptions. And I know that. We continue in business make assumptions on all our forecasts, and they're not always correct. Latif Khalaf, the head of investment analysis at AJ Bell, said, ironically, Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng did more to burnish the credentials of the OBR than any politicians since its inception. As things stand, the OBR is now more commanding than ever. The law will mean that the OBR monitors and checks the UK's government financial plans, has the power to make an assessment announcements over the course of the financial year which make permanent tax or spending commitments worth more than 1% of the size of the UK's economy. My Lord, 1%. That's just over £2 trillion, 1%, just over £20 billion. And the black hole Baroness Wheatcroft, my noble friend, spoke about of £22 billion. I mean, this number keeps getting bandied around. It is not even 1% of GDP, and yet it's made out to be the only reason why taxes need to be put up. And if taxes are put up in this budget coming forward, taxes like CGT, equated to income tax, that will be so damaging to this country and to its economy and to investment. And the OBR provides an independent analysis, meant to be absolutely independent. The Chancellor must request the OBR to produce forecasts at least twice a year. And, of course, the initial Cabinet Office briefing notes stated that the bill's purpose was to capture and prevent those announcements that could resemble the disastrous Liz Truss mini-budget. And the briefing was republished with the reference to Miss Truss removed. Could the Minister confirm that? And the absence of public OBR analysis is considered to be a factor in the negative reaction of the financial markets that followed. And after Kwasi Kwarteng's statement, market volatility, as we know, increased government borrowing, the cost and devaluation of the pound and other international currencies. And of course, my friend Sir Anthony Seldon has just released his new book, Truss at 10, How Not to be Prime Minister. The fiscal mandate is the government's guiding fiscal objective. So the tax and spending policy decisions should be made with this in mind. And of course, it's to ensure public sector net borrowing does not exceed 3% of GDP by the fifth year of the rolling forecast period. The Noble Lord Eatwell made a very good point. And could the Noble Lord the Minister respond to this? What about the effect of this on automatic stabilisers? And according to the Treasury, the effect of Kwasi Kwarteng and Liz Truss's mini-budget, which would have reduced income tax by around £45 billion, was to reach a trend growth rate of 2.5%. That was a noble objective. And it was reported the OBR had provided the Chancellor with a draft forecast, but this was not made public. Opposition parties and the Conservative chair of the House of Commons Treasury Committee urged the Chancellor to publish the forecast. And so the lack of that OBR analysis has been cited as the major factor that contributed to the negative reaction to the mini-budget in the financial markets. And we can go into the analysis of, by the BBC, for example, of key aspects and consequences of the mini-budget, unfunded tax cuts, funding shortfall, market reaction, impact on interest rates and pension funds, Bank of England intervention, loss of market confidence, political and economic repercussions, reform and emphasis on credibility. My Lords, the Noble Lady Baroness Noakes made a very important point. Why is this a money bill? This means that we have a limited influence on this bill. I don't think this should have been a money bill. And this bill has, to conclude, received support from many quarters. The CBI, of which I was president for 2 years, from June 2020 to June 2022, Louise Hellam, chief economist at CBI, said market stability is a key foundation to enabling economic growth and business investment, ensuring large changes in tax and spending policy are always subject to an independent assessment by the OBR will give businesses and investors additional confidence in the stability of the public finances.